Viewer discretion advised. The following content may include discussions of violent crimes, including murder, kidnapping, sexual assault, and other disturbing subject matter. Certain details may be distressing or triggering to some viewers. This content is intended for informational and educational purposes only. Some descriptions may be graphic and unsettling. If you or someone you know is struggling with trauma, mental health issues, or violence-related experiences, please seek support from a trusted professional or crisis helpline. Imagine a world where your everyday online purchases could be a killer's shopping list, where the mundane act of leaving a review could be a chilling confession in plain sight. For years, he walked among us, a successful businessman hiding a darkness that would eventually erupt in the most horrifying way. This is the story of Todd Kohlhepp and the secrets buried beneath the South Carolina soil. Spartanburg County, South Carolina. For years, it seemed like any other quiet American landscape. But beneath the veneer of normalcy, a storm was brewing. The name Todd Kohlhepp would soon be synonymous with unimaginable cruelty. He was described as narcissistic, arrogant, manipulative, a man who saw others as mere pawns in his twisted games. But perhaps the most unsettling aspect of this case was the breadcrumb trail of his sinister intentions, left in the digital world. Amazon reviews, penned under the username me, offered a terrifying glimpse into a mind consumed by violence, hinting at future crimes with a disturbing nonchalance. How could such blatant red flags go unnoticed? To understand the monster, we must look at the making of the man. Born in Florida in 1971, Todd Kohlhepp's early years were fractured by his parents' divorce. Raised primarily by his mother and stepfather, young Todd was not a typical child. Even as a toddler, his behavior was marked by an alarming level of aggression, far beyond the usual tantrums. He was a loner, struggling to connect with peers, his interactions often turning violent. School became a battleground, pushing cruel words, the deliberate destruction of classmates' projects. These were early signs of a deeply disturbed mind. One chilling incident on a school bus saw him stab a girl in the leg with scissors, seemingly without provocation. The aggression wasn't confined to the schoolyard. Kohlhepp sought out fights in his neighborhood, a menacing presence that instilled fear in other children. Accounts of him grabbing kids and repeatedly slamming their heads against clay pipes paint a horrifying picture. In one particularly disturbing episode, he locked a child in a dog crate and rolled it down a hill, reportedly laughing as the child screamed. This enjoyment of inflicting pain is a deeply unsettling precursor to the horrors that would follow. His cruelty extended to the animal kingdom. A neighbor's dog became a target for his BB gun, and in a chilling display of childish rage, he poured bleach into his goldfish bowl, watching the creatures die simply because his mother wouldn't buy him a gerbil. By the age of 9, Kohlhepp's behavior was deemed so extreme that his desperate mother and stepfather sent him to a child behavioral institute in Georgia. 3.5 months of treatment, a stark indication of the severity of his issues at such a young age. But what fueled this early darkness? Kohlhepp himself claimed he felt like an outsider in his own family, constantly at odds with his stepfather. Others suggest a different dynamic, a mother who consistently excused his actions, shielding him from accountability and blaming external factors for his cruelty. Adding another layer to this disturbing puzzle are Kohlhepp's unverified allegations of abuse at the hands of his strict grandfather. Sent to his grandfather's in the hope of instilling discipline, Kohlhepp claimed he endured brutal punishments, dragged by the hair, tied to trees, beaten with belts and whips, even shocked with a cattle prod. He recounted a particularly gruesome incident involving the castration of a pig, a threat allegedly extended to him for misbehavior. Then, at 12, his largely absent biological father reappeared, a man who had shown little interest in his son's life. Yet Kohlhepp, in a desperate search for connection, idealized this distant figure, believing his life would improve under his father's roof. His mother, wary of his father's character, reluctantly agreed after Kohlhepp threatened self-harm. The move to Arizona proved to be a crushing blow. The idealized image of his father shattered, as Kohlhepp discovered he was still self-absorbed and prone to physical discipline. Homesick and abandoned by both parents, his mother refused to take him back. Kohlhepp felt utterly alone. But amidst this disappointment, a dark connection formed, a shared fascination with weapons. His father, a self-proclaimed liar, spun fantastical tales of being a mercenary, a killer. The impressionable young Kohlhepp believed these fabrications, his bond with his father solidifying around these violent narratives and a mutual interest in firearms. His father even taught him how to make homemade bombs. Kohlhepp would later admit that during this period, the violence within him intensified. While living with his father, Kohlhepp claimed a violent encounter with a gang member escalated to him firing a gun at the individual. The truth of this account remains shrouded in uncertainty. However, a verifiable act of extreme violence occurred in 1986. At 15, Kohlhepp became obsessed with a neighbor girl. Rejection fueled a terrifying rage. On November 25th, while his father was away, he armed himself with a .22 caliber handgun, lured the girl outside, and forced her back to his house at gunpoint. Inside, he bound her, gagged her, and subjected her to the ultimate violation: rape. The girl's 5-year-old brother's 911 call brought the nightmare to an end. Police arrived to find Kohlhepp holding a rifle, his chilling question, "How much time am I going to get for this?" revealing a disturbing awareness of his actions. He was arrested, leaving behind a traumatized victim whose life would be forever altered. Diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and showing signs of extreme ego, anger was identified as his primary emotion. Despite the heinous nature of the crime, prosecutors faced a difficult decision: try him as an adult. Ultimately, he was sentenced as an adult to a mere 15 years in prison and registered as a sex offender. His mother's outrage at the sentence, her focus on the fact that he had walked the victim home as if it lessened the severity of his crime, speaks volumes about the enabling environment that may have contributed to his twisted worldview. Kohlhepp served his full 15-year sentence. Released in August 2001 at the age of 30, he returned to Spartanburg, South Carolina, his mother, his only lifeline. He found his own place but couldn't escape the stigma of his past. The label of sex offender clung to him, making it difficult to forge relationships and build a normal life. Isolation and anger festered, the prison time seemingly doing little to rehabilitate a deeply troubled individual. In 2003, a seemingly innocuous desire for a motorbike would set in motion a chain of events that would shock the community. Despite having no experience, Kohlhepp purchased a powerful Suzuki GSX R750 from Superbike Motorsports. Predictably, he struggled with the bike and returned to request an exchange. According to Kohlhepp, the store staff ridiculed him and refused. Soon after, his motorbike was allegedly stolen, and Kohlhepp became convinced that the staff at Superbike Motorsports were responsible, a belief fueled by his fragile ego and propensity for blame. A dark seed of revenge had been planted. November 2003, Kohlhepp returned to Superbike Motorsports. Inside were the owner, Scott Ponder, his mother and bookkeeper, Beverly Guy, the service manager, Brian Lucas, and the mechanic, Chris Sherbert. Kohlhepp waited until the other customers had left. Feigning interest in a bike, he lured Chris Sherbert to the back. Then, the unthinkable. Donning latex gloves, Kohlhepp drew a handgun and shot Chris Sherbert twice, execution style. The gunshots alerted the others. Beverly Guy was the first to encounter him. She was shot multiple times in the chest, dying instantly. Scott Ponder and Brian Lucas turned to flee, but Kohlhepp unleashed a barrage of bullets, hitting them in the back. As they lay dying, he delivered a final fatal shot to each of their heads. 4 innocent lives extinguished in a matter of minutes. Kohlhepp later bragged about the speed of the murders before simply walking away. This horrific act occurred while he was still on parole, stemming from a perceived slight. But given Kohlhepp's history of distorted perceptions, the true motive remains shrouded. The discovery of the scene was horrific, yet detectives found no apparent motive, no evidence, no signs of robbery. The only conclusion they could draw was that it was personal. Incredibly, a year passed with no leads. Then, a shocking misdirection. Police received a tip about Scott Ponder's inability to have children. When they learned he had a child, suspicion fell on his wife. A DNA sample from the child was mistakenly matched to another victim, Brian Lucas, due to a catastrophic error in labeling blood vials. Based on this false information, police concluded a love triangle had gone wrong, completely disregarding other possibilities. This devastating blunder allowed Kohlhepp to remain free for 13 years, despite being a customer at the store and a registered sex offender, information that a thorough investigation might have revealed. Scott Ponder's widow, pregnant at the time of the murders, endured the unimaginable pain of losing her husband while being falsely accused of his murder and an affair. Kohlhepp, having evaded justice for the mass shooting, seemingly used it as a springboard for a new life. He pursued a business degree, obtained a real estate license by downplaying his past crime, and established a successful real estate business. He earned a good income, bought a nice home, even got a pilot license. But beneath the veneer of success, his true nature began to resurface. His behavior towards female employees became increasingly inappropriate, mirroring his childhood bullying and revealing glimpses of the darkness within. He bragged about his past sexual assaults and amassed a large, illegal collection of firearms. Yet he maintained multiple relationships, a testament to his manipulative nature. But by 2014, a shift occurred. Dissatisfied, lonely, and aware that people disliked him, Kohlhepp became more isolated, a chilling prelude to an even darker chapter. Kohlhepp began planning. He purchased 100 acres of secluded woodland and transformed it into a personal fortress, complete with fencing and a large shipping container. He stockpiled supplies, seemingly preparing for an apocalypse. His favorite show? The Walking Dead. His favorite character, the villainous Negan. Then came the Amazon purchases. Under the username Me, he left a series of disturbingly candid reviews. A knife. Haven't stabbed anyone yet, but I am keeping the dream alive. A shovel. Keep in the car for when you have to hide the bodies. Padlocks, chainsaws. Each review a chilling wink to his sinister intentions, broadcast for the world to see, yet somehow remaining unseen. Yuyan 40 reviews in total. A digital manifesto of a killer hiding in plain sight. By 2015, Kohlhepp frequented a Waffle House, his behavior towards female staff raising concerns. It's believed this is where he encountered Megan Coxey, 26, and her husband, Johnny Coxey, 29. The couple, struggling financially, became his first victims in his descent into serial killing. Kohlhepp lured them to his property with the promise of work. On December 22, 2015, an altercation occurred. Kohlhepp claimed they tried to rob him. Regardless, he shot Johnny twice in the chest, killing him instantly. Megan tried to escape, but Kohlhepp overpowered her, handcuffing and shackling her before shooting her husband again in front of her. He then dragged Megan to the shipping container and locked her inside. He buried Johnny's body and left Megan imprisoned. For 6 days, she was held captive. On Christmas Day, Kohlhepp reportedly took Megan outside and murdered her, burying her next to her husband. 12 years after the Superbike massacre, Kohlhepp had claimed 2 more lives. 8 months later, in August 2016, Kohlhepp targeted another couple, 30-year-old Kayla Brown and her 32-year-old boyfriend, Charlie Carver. Kayla had done work for Kohlhepp before, and Facebook messages hinted at a past relationship. Needing money, she agreed to do gardening work and Charlie accompanied her. On August 31st, they arrived at Kohlhepp's property near the shipping container. He gave them tools, then claimed he needed something from the container. He returned with a gun, repeating his false accusation of attempted robbery. He shot Charlie 3 times in the chest, killing him. He then forced Kayla into the shipping container. Inside, he handcuffed her, shackled her legs, and gagged her. He left her there to bury Charlie next to Megan and Johnny. Upon his return, he placed a dog collar around Kayla's neck and chained her to the wall. For 65 days, Kayla endured unimaginable horror in the dark, damp, foul-smelling container. Chained, barely fed, sexually assaulted twice daily, and constantly threatened. She was told by Kohlhepp that he was a prolific serial killer with hundreds of victims. He even confessed to the murders of Megan, Johnny, and the Superbike motorsports victims, claiming she would eventually fall in love with him due to Stockholm Syndrome. Unbeknownst to Kayla, a significant search was underway for her and Charlie, their disappearance generating widespread media attention. Kohlhepp panicked. He kept Charlie's phone and posted misleading messages on Facebook, attempting to create the illusion that they were fine and had run away together. But the inconsistencies in the writing style alerted Charlie's loved ones. The search continued until a crucial breakthrough. Kayla's cell phone last pinged near Kohlhepp's property. On November 3, 2016, police executed a search warrant on Kohlhepp's property. Kohlhepp wasn't there, but as they searched the compound, they heard a faint sound coming from a large shipping container, secured with multiple padlocks. Using power tools, they breached the container and found Kayla alive, chained to the wall by a dog collar. She immediately told them that Kohlhepp had shot Charlie and that he had killed 2 other people, claiming to be a serial killer. Meanwhile, at his home, Kohlhepp denied knowing anything about Kayla and Charlie. Upon hearing that Kayla had been found alive on his property, he was arrested. At the police station, during a recorded phone call with his mother, Kohlhepp confessed, "I'm a serial killer." When asked how many victims, his chilling reply, "Too many to count on your hands." Back at Kohlhepp's property, the bodies of Megan, Johnny, and Charlie were discovered, confirming Kayla's horrifying account. During his interrogation, Kohlhepp arrogantly told investigators, "I've got a few cases to close for you." He then confessed in detail to the murders of Megan and Johnny, repeating his false narrative of a robbery attempt. He described Charlie's murder and Kayla's abduction. Then came the shocking admission. he confessed to the 2003 Superbike Motorsports mass shooting, providing details only the killer would know. Kohlhepp attempted to justify his heinous acts by labeling his victims as bad people, casting himself as judge, jury, and executioner. He never took responsibility, a classic trait of his narcissistic personality, even appearing to joke with detectives. To avoid the death penalty, he pleaded guilty to 7 counts of murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, and 1 count of criminal assault, receiving 7 life sentences without the possibility of. Following his confessions, Kohlhepp's Amazon account and his disturbing reviews became public, earning him the moniker, the Amazon Review Killer. But a further disturbing detail emerged. The bodies of his male victims, Johnny Coxey and Charlie Carver, were found without their feet. Kohlhepp refused to comment, and the missing feet were never recovered. The precise and non-animalistic nature of the removal suggests a specific, albeit deeply unsettling and unknown, motivation. Kohlhepp's chilling statement, "I don't play with my food," adds another layer of horror to this already gruesome case. The fact that only the male victims were mutilated hints at a specific twisted rationale. In a final, perhaps attention-seeking twist, Kohlhepp confessed to 2 additional murders, claiming they occurred before the Superbike shooting. He stated he killed 2 people who harassed him after his sex offender status became known. However, no bodies have ever been found, and no missing of parole. Persons' reports corroborate his story. While some believe him, others suspect a further attempt to manipulate and shock. Despite his boast of over 100 victims, which is highly unlikely, the possibility of other unknown victims cannot be entirely dismissed, given his long history of violence and evolving patterns of crime. The case of Todd Kohlhepp is a chilling study in extreme violence and manipulation. His motivations appear rooted in a deep-seated need for power and control, intertwined with a disturbing sexual element. His targeting of couples was unusual, highlighting his belief in his ability to dominate dangerous situations. Notably, he only expressed regret for his female victims, revealing a warped perspective on relationships and rejection, a pattern tragically evident in his first violent crime, the sexual assault stemming from a perceived slight. The victims of Todd Kohlhepp, Scott Ponder, Beverly Guy, Brian Lucas, Chris Sherbert, Johnny Coxey, Megan Coxey, and Charlie Carver, were innocent lives stolen by a monster. Kayla Brown endured unimaginable suffering. The first victim of his teenage assault continues to live with the trauma. The families and friends left behind carry an unbearable burden of grief. Scott Ponder's wife, wrongly accused, suffered a double tragedy. While the full depths of Todd Kohlhepp's depravity may never be fully understood, the devastation he inflicted will forever haunt the lives he touched. Todd Kohlhepp is now serving 7 life sentences, locked away for his unspeakable crimes. But the chilling details of his case serve as a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface, the importance of recognizing red flags, and the lasting impact of such horrific violence. The Amazon reviews, once overlooked, now stand as a terrifying testament to a killer who, in his arrogance, believed he could hide his monstrous intentions in the most ordinary of places. The silence of the woods where his victims were found holds the echoes of unimaginable terror, and the question remains, how many other unseen horrors might be lurking, hidden just out of sight? That's a wrap for today's episode, but there are plenty more twisted cases on the way. If you enjoyed this one, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button so you don't miss what's next. See you in the next video.